What's up? How's it going? This is the kind of beginner starter guide, and my goal with this is designed for anyone who's never drawn in their whole life. Like, I mean, you've never drawn, ever. That you can start right here. The most common question I get asked a lot is, where do you start? All these programs, all these YouTube videos, everything kind of assumes you have some base of knowledge. But if you have none, I don't find a lot of resources for that, so this is what that's going to do. And my goal by the end of this program, and this is, by the way, totally free. That's another thing. I wanted a free resource online that people can get a base, kind of a built-up base of how to draw people, like portraits. So from beginning to end, the idea is that you draw nothing all the way, if you go through this the entire way through, all the way to the point where you would be able to draw like a decent portrait, or at least you're on your way to drawing portraits. And that's kind of my goal, for you to draw a portrait. I'm gonna break everything down gradually, really gradually, almost to the point where it's really, but it's slow for a reason. It's slow for you to get it. And there will be homework. The homework is a choice. Obviously, this whole thing is a choice, but with homework that I give, you can send it to me. You have the choice of sending it to me free, like email, and I'll respond with what I think about it, maybe a few thoughts, and what you can do to improve or change as you go along. In the beginning, the idea is there's going to be fixing your dexterity, how to do that, and some exercises to do that. And if you do those exercises, you'll be pretty well off, I think, dexterity-wise, like meaning how well you can control the pen or pencil. Then I want to go into simple shapes, how to do those, maybe do a bunch of those. And then we're going to go into features and kind of if you do those simple shapes will make the features easier to draw, much easier. We'll pretty much make it a snap. And then we'll go over the proportions of the head, some small anatomy they need to know, things of so forth. And that will look a lot more like the traditional things you see on YouTube. Sorry if I'm being really technical, but I think this is a technical topic. It's super fun. I think it's exciting, and I think you're gonna love it, honestly. So let's kind of start off with what I'm gonna be using. So I recommend you draw in pen. Pen is, in my opinion, the best thing to learn in. And let me tell you why. Because you can't erase, and you won't get it into your mind that you can erase every single thing. If you learn in pen, by the time you go, and I mean ballpoint pen, not so much the fountain pens or anything, use a ballpoint pen. And I'm going to tell you why in a minute. If you get good at this, you're going to go back to pencil, and that's going to be like a snap for you. It's going to be like you are using a kind of weighted vest to work out. When you take that weighted vest, you're like, whoa, this is so easy now, because you did the harder one. So if you learn in pen, going back to pencil is going to be really, really simple. But yeah, let's go over what pens I recommend. And you can use any kind of pen you want. And you can use anything you want. You can still do this in pencil, if you feel more comfortable doing that. I highly recommend pen, though. With the pen, and I don't know if you can see this on the camera here, but I use really two, and these are the two they trained us in at school. And it is the F301 Zebra Fine Point. You have to remember the Fine Point. It's a ballpoint pen, and the reason for that is you can kind of you can shade with it very similar that you could with a pencil. Move that around, the light's a little weird. You can shade that in the same way that you can vary your stroke, from light to dark, where a fountain pen tends to just spill out on what's going on, And then the other one would be the F5, I believe it's 5.2 S. Wait, I'm sorry, this one's a little bit worn out. Where's another one? Well, I can't find another one, but I'm gonna write it on the screen. I'm gonna find out exactly the number, but I believe it's the F452, 4S2. It's also Zebra, similar, fine point. Or I believe all of these are fine, I'm not sure. The reason for fine point is that it'll just give you a much thinner, more distinct line that you can control better, in my opinion. The regular ballpoint pens that you get like from the store, those have kind of a big ball kind of at the end. It's a little strange, and I don't fully recommend it. I think these are the best, but like I said, you can use anything you want. You can use a crayon if you want, but I recommend these two. I'm gonna put a link in the description for buy them on Amazon, but generally you can buy them anywhere. You can buy them at Office Depot. You can buy them where else? Almost any store has them, but I buy them at Office Depot if you're around the States. If you're not around the States, I'm not sure where they sell them. If you were to tell me, maybe in the comments below, or email me where they sell them in your country, I can kind of recommend them, by country. But otherwise, I'm gonna put the link in the description to buy them. Super cheap. I can't remember the price. So that would be what I recommend using personally. And we're gonna do our first exercise today, and that is lines. So I talked about one of the biggest issues I see people plague. It plagues them throughout almost the beginning part of their art career, and that is dexterity. It's how well you can control the pencil or pen or tool that you're using, right? And that is a big problem. If you're learning to draw a head and you know all the anatomy and kind of the construction first, that's obviously a huge help. But if your lines are wiggly and weird, and it's clearly a control problem you have, that's gonna negate pretty much your entire drawing. It's even hard for me to draw wiggly, to be honest now. Let me see if I just, but because like once you train yourself, it's kind of hard to go back to like junk lines. It really is. So I want to solve that first before we get into any anatomy, any knowledge, anything like that. You really should solve that. And I'm gonna give you literally one. Let me give you one exercise, and you do it a bunch. And it's gonna seem ridiculous, but I promise you, it's really worth it. And it's something that I still even kind of practice a little bit now. So first thing you have to do, and you have to draw from your shoulder, not your wrist. When you're writing, right? When you're doing your signature, it's literally from the wrist. You're anchoring your I forgot what bone this is, but you're literally just anchoring your wrist and moving like that. When you draw, a much better idea is to move from your shoulder, and the range of movement is going to be much better. You're going to be able to do so much more. You bring your elbow and your shoulder into it as needed. And that line would be almost impossible with my wrist only. I could maybe do that with my wrist. Yeah, see, if I do that with my wrist, just my wrist, it's gonna there's just not enough range. I can't even reach it. So you need to learn to kind of, like I said, draw from your shoulder, draw from your elbow as needed. It's gonna be, think of it like a robot arm, you know what I mean? It's all these gears are working inside of it. And so you have to get used to that. One of the easiest exercises I always teach, and again, seems silly, but it is amazing for it. And hopefully you can see what I'm drawing here. Sorry I'm drawing so light. I'll try to draw a little bit darker. Is literally drawing straight lines. It is, and I would say draw them in every direction. So place a dot on the page and place another dot across. And I want you to try hitting that dot in one stroke without stopping. So how well would you do? So let me see. Let me try myself. Oops. See, it falls short over here. Let me try it again. And it's a good idea to trace the line right here without actually touching the paper. It gets your muscle memory working. It gets you warmed up a little bit. Oops. See, a little bit off. Okay, that one I hit pretty close. And I would try that backwards as well. So start from that dot, pull back. And it's a different feeling too. That one's really, really close. So do that. Do some more. Throw more dots on the page. Maybe this way as well. And that's going to feel completely different on your shoulder as well. You notice you're going to bring a lot more of your shoulder in on this one, if you're right-handed. Okay, really close, really close. It's almost touching. See that? Let me try one more time. Really, really close again, close. But keep trying that, and I would say fill the page with dots if you can. In the beginning, I would not turn your paper, because you can turn your paper later on, right? You can do that. I would try it with both, because you're using the muscles that you've kind of never used for this purpose. You're using muscles that, you know, for other purposes. You know, like you're building a control in it. Usually, you know, with your shoulder, you're like lifting stuff. You're carrying things. You're doing all these other things. But now that you're using your whole arm kind of for a controlled purpose, it feels different, you know, and it feels almost like you're riding a bike for the first time. Oops. There you go. And take care too. You don't. It's not about quantity, although there will be quantity. But it's about kind of the quality of the line. Try to take a quality of each one. Don't just like boom, 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 go through it like without thinking as much. Really try to like think of other dots over here as well. So this is all I want you to do for this first video. This is all I want you to do. Fill the page. You don't have to fill it, but do this exercise back and forth for yourself. And I would fill the entire page with dots as much as you can see them, right? As long as it's not too chaotic. And I would do, literally, I would do this, since you're a beginner, I would do 10 pages of this, like 10 pages filled up. How many can you get per page? Probably you can get like 100 lines, if not more. And then you can feel all these, like I said, you can feel all these muscles in your arm activating, and you're building that control. So, and like I said, the quicker the better. I mean, not super fast. And you can try to go slow on some, but generally for me, kind of a steady pace, that would work. So that's pretty much it. That's the homework. That's the very first lesson. Do that. If you want to email me, I mean, these are straight lines. There can still be, you know, some issues, of course, and I can maybe tell you what I can, but that's literally it. And this is step one to building your dexterity and your control, and something that nobody ever, like, I mean, not nobody, but most people never do this. They really don't. And I think it's one of the foundations to, you know, building a solid artist, to kind of doing that. Anyways, I'll see you in the next lesson. Shoot me an email, like I said, and I'll see you really soon. See ya.